other question I wanted to ask you real quick was about the SPAC stocks. Do you have a take on, is that a whole nother?
Okay, so SPAC stocks. Okay, so in some cases, I definitely see that there's a huge opportunity there, especially when you think about capital raises and putting a company out there. The problem that I have with a lot of your SPAC companies is that there's a lot of thesis built around it, but yet at the same token, there's no significant evidence that shows that these companies are well on their way to being anywhere near close to profitable of what you see most of your publicly traded companies on any of the exchanges. And that for me produces a problem, because it really runs up my flags of I was at caution and then I got to red flag, because then it's like you're really just investing into a business plan. And that's honestly how I see a lot of the SPAC companies. Now, don't get me wrong, there's quite a few other companies out there that are doing very, very well, and they just went the SPAC route. And I think that they're using it in the means in which that it should be. But then you have other companies in which that honestly, it just, I look at it like this: when venture capital and a lot of the private equity markets started to dry up, because a lot of us were really looking at a lot of the companies that were in our portfolio existing, and liquidity was becoming an issue, because they were burning more capital over periods of time, a lot shorter than what was expected, thanks to, of course, during the pandemic. A lot of them had decisions to make. And the funding, given that some of that Silicon Valley money and also venture capital and private equity money was drying up a little bit, where else were they going to go? And when you think about it, a SPAC route makes all the sense in the world for these companies to go that route, because of the fact is, now if you can't get the institutional money or the accredited investors or whomever else in the private side markets to join in on raising either emergency rounds or whatever it may be, then go the SPAC route. The problem that I have with that is that you're putting the earnest now on the retail investor, and the retail investor I don't think that the retail investor fully has the full overall thesis of what the company is or what is it that they do. Like looking at companies at Nikola that went SPAC, Nikola should have never went to the publicly traded markets. I think that honestly that, in companies like those, I think that even, this is a hot take, I think that Palantir should have never went to the publicly traded markets. I think that both of those companies right there serve as a great purpose of the fact that you're investing in a company that either one, it's a business plan, or two, they haven't really done anything significant yet. It's just a lot of research and a lot of testing. And honestly, it's where's the return for the investor, whether you're on the value side or even just on the growth side. And that's a problem. That's a huge problem. And I think that honestly, it's we're going to see this SPAC route play out. But, like I said, my 1999 meter is really starting to beep a little bit.
Yeah, it seems that way when you're seeing, like you said, the Nikolai and the ones that they shoot up to, from $10 to 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. And then, a few weeks later, they're back down.
Drop like a rock.
Yeah. And you're right. Who's left holding the bag? It's probably the retail investors.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Because, your institutional money that was already there, they reaped the benefits because now the company went to the publicly traded market. So now it's you're just giving them an opportunity for them to liquidate over periods of time because their share value is significantly higher. Then on top of that, it's okay, you have your retail investors that are literally helping prop up the stock when it becomes, SPAC, IPO. And now the institutional money is just okay, hey, well, if there's no lockup period for us, then now we just say, okay, hey, we're going to sell. And then they just make out like bandits, whether it's a 5X, 10X, or even a 15, 20X return. And then that's the only thing that you have left over. They're not returning back to the stock at all. So now the only people that are left are just your retail investors.